Have you ever received any pieces of good advice? It's always a good question, isn't it? We always receive advice, but is any of it ever good? And I was thinking about that. I can remember an elementary school teacher that said, don't watch your feet when you walk. And I'm going like, geez, I don't know what that means. But then you know what I started doing? Watching my feet. Because, that was one of those pieces of advice that I'm not sure was very helpful. Or how about this one? Starve a cold, feed a fever. Or is it feed a cold, starve a fever? I don't know what it is. But I hear that advice a lot. Or probably one of my favorites is always to go back to Murphy. And Murphy would remind us that if something can go wrong, it will. And so there are pieces of advice that we get all the time about how to live our lives, about what to do. And today, we're getting a really great piece of advice as we begin Advent. It's a piece of advice from Isaiah. Remember, Isaiah was that prophet that tried to call the people back to right living. And he also said something wonderful is going to happen. He sees it on the horizon, and he said something great is going to happen. And as it happens, we need to be participating. We need to be doing some things. We need to be making the road straight. We need to take the hills down. We need to make the path as easy as possible. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear someone tell me something like that, then immediately my head goes to this. Ooh, there must be problems on the path, or we wouldn't have to make it straight, and we wouldn't have to take the hills out. There's got to be problems, and Isaiah's letting us know that on this journey that we're called to, on this Advent journey towards the new Messiah, as we go on that path, there's going to be obstacles. It's not going to be an easy path, otherwise we wouldn't have to do all this work preparing. So part of preparing is straightening out that path and overcoming obstacles. And what we begin today is a ride. It's a ride down kind of the Christmas highway. We're moving towards Christmas. Now, theologically, it's early to talk about Christmas. I'm only supposed to talk about Advent. But as soon as I get up here and you see the decorations, you're already thinking about Christmas. And so we might as well say that the Advent ride that we're on is toward Christmas. We're moving towards it. And it's early to talk about it for us theologically. It's not so early for retailers, is it? Have you noticed this? Have anybody seen any Christmas ads or anything yet? Has there been anything happening to push us towards Christmas? I don't know. I try not to be aware. And so I don't look at those things. But I've heard that maybe that like last Friday was a big shopping day. I've heard that. And so it's one of those things that they are pushing us towards Christmas, and they're pushing and pulling and prodding us whether we want to go or not. And this road we're on is just full of so much stuff. It is. It's full of obstacles, and part of the obstacles is just looking at what do I do as I prepare for Christmas. I see stores. Actually, I think I saw my first Christmas tree in a store in September this year. We're moved and we're pushed and we're prodded. And those things don't become helpful after a while. They become obstacles. And we take detours and we almost dread it. We begin to dread a season that has been taken over by others outside the church. And so I think Isaiah was already aware that no matter what generation you were in, no matter when you lived, that the road towards Christmas, the road towards the Messiah, was going to be full of bumps and curves and hills and ruts and potholes. And so he said, you may have to take some detours along the way, but eventually you can straighten out that path and you can move in the right direction. Today we're going to talk about the obstacles, and we're going to talk about trying to overcome them. And this week's movie is The Polar Express. That's what we're talking about. Because the Polar Express, just like the Advent journey towards Christ is an important one, the story of the Polar Express is about a great journey moving towards a goal. But it's also one that's full of obstacles. And we're just going to show you one of those obstacles right now. I know some of you might be feeling tension and pressure and obstacles like that right now in your journey towards Christmas. In fact, I guess if any of you went shopping on Good Friday, you may have felt just like that. That's my guess. You know, I don't know. I would never do that. So I wonder, it's like, what obstacles do you have in your life? I mean, there's a great scene from a movie that shows us in a fun way how the journey can go along, and all of a sudden, might we say we're skating on thin ice, and we're trying to figure out how to move forward, how to proceed. What are the obstacles for you and for me? I think that's what we need to look at. And there are so many things that it could be. I mean, some of us feel that one of the obstacles this time of year is money, because we feel we just don't have enough money to live out the Christmas and Advent season in the way that others expect us to. Sometimes the money gets in the way for us because we think we have to buy gifts for such a myriad of people, or expensive gifts, instead of just giving them love and care. So money can become a big obstacle as we move towards that Christmas journey, as we move through Advent towards Christ and the Messiah. Money can get in our way. Another thing that can get in our way, believe it or not, is family. Family can get in our way also in so many different ways. Sometimes the family time is demanding, isn't it? And it's a time when we say, oh, we have to spend all this time with our family. Other times, our family is just a pain in the neck or somewhere. There's no doubt in my mind, because families can be dysfunctional, can't they? There can be problems with families, and of course, then we're expected to be with them as we move towards Christmas. And sometimes, let's be honest, we don't really want to be with them. And so being with family, the expectations, the problems, the struggles, the arguments, the fights, the grudges from the past can sometimes consume us. And so it can get in our way of moving towards Christmas, moving towards the real meaning of Christmas. Family can be wonderful, but can be a problem. Sometimes one of the biggest obstacles that I've seen is busyness. Does anybody have a lot of open dates between now and Christmas? I mean, don't you have just nothing on your calendar between now and Christmas? It fills up so fast. And it just demands, we pulls time, and there's something from work, and there's something from family, and there's something from church. And oh boy, the church can be an obstacle. Because sometimes the busyness of the season pulls us away from the meaning of the season. And those are different things. And I think one of the biggest obstacles that I know in people is it's within their own spirit. And they begin to be caught up or pulled down by the world around us, and by the call to shop, by the call to buy, by the call to keep busy and to go to parties. And all of a sudden, I hear people say, it's just not the same anymore. Christmas isn't the same as it used to be, and I don't have the spirit, I don't feel it anymore. And we begin to believe that that is something new that no one else has ever faced besides us. In the modern world, we sometimes seem to think in the church that everything has changed. It's all new, and the struggles in the church are all new today. I mean, we're the first group of Christians to ever have any struggles. We're the first group of Christians to ever have any problems celebrating Christmas, walking through Advent, doing all the things we're called to do. Somewhere along the line, we get that feeling, and we forget one of the reasons the leaders of the church set up the church year was to remind us every year that we need to be pulled back, that we need to be reminded of this Advent, this journey towards Christ, this journey towards Christmas. We need to be reminded every year because people forever, for the ages, have struggled to realize it's Christmas time is coming again. And so the church calendar comes back around to remind us that we need to prepare ourselves. And it wasn't any easier 50 years ago. And it wasn't any easier 100 years ago or 200 years ago. There were always struggles. They may not have been our struggles, but there were struggles. And so we need to hear the words of Isaiah generation after generation after generation. Prepare the way in our own lives. What does that mean for you? And that's really the message for today. What does that mean for you? To realize it's never been easy, and so what you're facing is no different than Christians for generations have faced. How do I begin to focus in Advent on that coming wonderful thing, the birth of our Messiah? How do I begin to make room in my life? And one of the first things we can do is get rid of the obstacles. To call us back and to face those obstacles, right on. Confront them in our own lives and say, if family's getting in the way, what do I need to do? If money's getting in the way, what do I need to do? If busyness is getting in the way, what do I need to do? You want the answer? You already know the answer. Everybody's got to face it in a little different way, but we have to begin by saying, I'm going to make God the priority of my life. I'm going to straighten out the roads in my life. I'm not going to put so many curves in my own way. I'm not going to build so many mountains in my own way. I'm going to do what I can do to move towards Christmas. And the message of today is that. The message of today is hope. And we're hopeful every Advent season that something new is on the horizon and there can be a change for us. And that is my hope for you. But you have to make the difference. Doesn't matter what I say today. It's up to you to decide what you are going to do. And I want to give you the easiest directions I've ever heard. And by the way, this is from a song from a Christmas show from when my children were little. That's the ones I know the best, by the way. As you parents that are young right now, you will find that out in the future. And here are the words. You want to know how to succeed. You want to know how to overcome the obstacles. This is how you do it. You put one foot in front of the other. And soon you'll be walking across the floor. You put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. If you want to change your direction, if your time of life is at hand, well, don't be the rule, be the exception. A good way to start is to stand. If I want to change the reflection I see in the mirror each morn, you mean that's just my election to vote for a chance to be reborn. My advice to you today, if you want to change, put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across the floor. Follow the journey of Christ towards that manger. Be with us in the Advent season. Seek God in all the ways you can. And never forget to stand. To put one foot in front of the other and follow the call of Christ. Thanks be to God. Amen.